Hello, I'm Alexandra from largefamilymama.com, and today I want to share with you some of our favourite books for our 6-year-old daughter. We prefer vintage books. I just like the innocence of vintage books. I think there are a lot of agendas being pushed in today's modern children's books, which I'm not particularly keen on encouraging. So let me share with you what we have today. So this first book is called Sea Story. And these were first published in 1980. And this is a lovely story about a group of mice that go on a trip and they meet another group of mice and they stay at their house and they all go to the beach together and things like that. And this book has really amazing artwork in it. And I think that just makes such a difference. I remember staring at these pictures when I was a little girl for hours and hours and hours and making up all kinds of stories in my head about them. So yeah, I think the artwork is very important. And in this book there is a boy called Wilfred, so Scarlett likes that because her brother is called Wilfred. Then we have another Bramley Hedge book, and this one is called Poppy's Babies, and it's about one of the mice that's pregnant and her husband getting the house all ready for her for when the new baby arrives. And again, beautiful pictures. And just a lovely carefree innocent story. Here we've got Rumpelstiltskin, an old classic, and this was actually one of my favourite fairy tales when I was little. I don't know why, but I just always thought it was really funny, and just loved it. So now Scarlett enjoys it as well. This is a book that we finished a couple of months ago. It's Charlotte's Web. This is an American book, and it was written about 100 years ago, I think, so really old, and a really lovely story about a little girl that really loves her pet pig, and the pig talks to a spider called Charlotte. And then we have this Enid Blyton book. It's called The Very Peculiar Cow and Other Stories, so it's got a few other stories in there. We've got The Land of Nowhere, Staying with Auntie Sue, The Little Dog Next Door, On Jimmy's Birthday, Oranges in the Road, Peppermint Rock, You Never Know, Teddy Bear is Naughty, He Didn't Know What to Do, Rufus Pays Back, and Amanda and the Bear. So quite a lot of stories in there. And again, I used to love Enid Blyton books when I was little as well. So this is a book that I've read to all my older children, and it's called The Scarecrow Servant by Philip Pullman. And I haven't read it to Scarlett yet, but I think that's one of the next ones that we're going to be reading. All my older children loved this book. They still talk about it today. It's a fantastic book, and I really want to get more books by Philip Pullman and see if they are as good. We have this book of poems by A.A. Milne, who also wrote Winnie the Pooh, and it's called When We Were Very Young and Now We Are 6. And Scarlett loves that because she feels like the book's completely personalised for her because it has 6 on it and she's 6. So sometimes we read one of these poems while we have our poetry tea time. So it's like a little morning break that we have in between our lessons. We'll have a herbal tea and maybe a piece of cake or a biscuit, and we'll read some poetry. We have this really old vintage book. I'm not sure when this one was published because it doesn't actually say, but there is an old note in there because I got this from a charity shop, and it says, "To the 3 Smiths with love, Xmas 1959." So it's lovely to have a bit of history, and it's got lots and lots of the classic fairy tales in it, such as The Princess on the Pea, Thumbelina, The Emperor's New Clothes, The Wild Swans, The Ugly Duckling, The Little Match Girl, and loads of others. And as I was saying in my video last week when I was sharing with you my 3-year-old son's favourite books, I was saying about how I love old fairy tales and how I imagine our ancestors telling fairy tales and wanting to pass on some hidden knowledge, and I always feel like there are hidden meanings in fairy tales. Let me know in the comments below if you agree. And another book that's falling apart, it's on its last legs now. This is by Roald Dahl, and we've got 3 stories in here. The BFG, Matilda, and George's Marvellous Medicine. And I love Roald Dahl's quirky British sense of humour. and it makes the children laugh. It's very funny. Then we have this old book again that's falling apart. This was actually mine when I was a little girl. It's Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll, and yeah, this book was written I think over 100 years ago again, and of course I think every little girl loves Alice in Wonderland, and this book was written only just down the road from us, so it's nice to have books that are from your area as well, so you can just appreciate them even more. Then we have another poetry book here. This is filled with really old poems. We've got poems from the 1920s, the 1800s, even from the 1700s. And a lot of those poems I remember being read when I was little as well. So it's nice to have a little trip down memory lane. Then we have a couple of quite modern books. We've got this one called Sparkly Shoes and Picnic Parties, about a couple of little girls that have a picnic together, and it's just really girly, and Scarlett is a very girly girl, so she loves it. And then another one called The Fair Day Ball, and it's about two girls that end up being able to go to a ball, and I think Scarlett loves this because one of the girls is called Honey, and Scarlett has a sister called Honey, so she thinks that's really nice. And this book, again, I used to love as a little girl. It's called The Complete Book of Flower Fairies, and this book has been really, actually very helpful in educating my children about different plants and flowers, and it's got lovely illustrations of the fairies in there. And each fairy represents a certain flower, and then it has a poem, and it gives you some factual information in that poem. So it's just a lovely, lovely way to be able to teach children all about different plants. And now when my children go out, they can easily recognise lots of different plants thanks to this book. So very, very good. Then we have Winnie the Pooh. It's got several stories in here. And this is one we're actually currently reading, and we're about halfway through at the moment. A lovely classic. Next we've got Green Eggs and Ham by Dr. Seuss, and I find the Dr. Seuss books really good for teaching children to read because lots of the words are very simple, and lots of them rhyme, and it's just very easy for them to pick up the pattern of the story and recognise the words as they go along. So yeah, very good for teaching children to read. And then the last vintage book that I'm going to show you today is The World of Beatrix Potter, Treasury. Again, this was written a long, long time ago. It's an absolute classic. It's got beautiful illustrations. And in there we've got the tale of Peter Rabbit, the tale of Benjamin Bunny, the tale of the Flopsy Bunnies, the tale of Mr. Todd, the tale of Tom Kitten, the tale of Samuel Whiskers, the tale of Ginger and Pickles, the tale of the Pie and the Patty Pan, the story of Miss Moppet, the tale of Jemima Puddle Duck, the tale of Mr. Jeremy Fisher, the tale of Mrs. Tiggy Winkle, and the tale of Pigling Bland. So I hope you enjoyed seeing our favourite books for 6-year-olds, and leave me a comment below telling me if you recognise any of those books from your childhood, and if you use vintage books with your children or you prefer the modern day books. So next week I think I will share with you my 8-year-old son's favourite books. So make sure you're subscribed for that, and I shall see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.